Welcome back to another tutorial on SQL. In this tutorial, I'm going to do two important things. The first one will be for me to introduce you to a group by statement, and the second one will be that will be more of something that I will share and will need your help with. So the group by statement, this is such an important concept to know. You will be you, for you to know because you can make use of group bys or grouping by function, either using it for data analysis, for business intelligence, for data engineering, any sort of work that you do. So when we talk about group by, we should also talk about aggregation or aggregate functions. So these two kind of walk shoulder to shoulder. So an aggregate function is any function where you do an aggregation of a variable. So for example, if I'm going to get the average of all of the GDPs of the entire world countries, then I'm actually performing some sort of aggregate function. So group by is actually when I'm assigning that aggregate, right? When I'm assigning that aggregated function or aggregation to a group. Otherwise, I'm only going to get one result, which will be the average for the GDP. But if I assign them to the groups or when I do the group buys, it actually allows me to look at the classification of each country by their GDPs, or I should say, look at the distribution of GDP averages by the country names or by the region names, something like that. And this will be more understandable, more efficiently when I use an example, which I'm about to do. So let's say we'd like to get a couple of things here. Let's say we're going to get the region, and then we're going to get the GDP, uh, maybe yeah, the gender ratio and GDP. These are the three variables that I'm going to select, and then I'm going to tell pgadmin to use the role indicator table to fetch to query these values from, and then I'm going to use the group by function. So when I do the group by, I'm going to specify the name. But here's something that I'm going to say. The region can stay the way it is because why? Because region is a string variable or character variable, right? Now the gender ratio, when I bring them, and you're going to see it in a minute, when I bring these two variables over, because they're measures, they're numerical data, right? When I bring them by groups, SQL is going to go crazy and say, all right, how would you like me to break them down? Would you just, you're telling me to group them by, but then you're telling me to bring the distinct values. Because remember, when you don't aggregate something, when you don't do a count or sum or average, you're actually bringing these distinctive values with like each of these values there. So if you're bringing each of these values here and then you're assigning to a group, then it doesn't make sense. It's against the statement logic here for the grouping by. Let me go ahead and do the group by now and assign to region. Now you're going to see that we're going to run into all sorts of problems. And it's going to tell you that, look, indicator gender ratio must appear in the group by clause or to be using aggregate functions. So it's telling me in order for you to be able to use group by for these two measures, you need to aggregate them. All right, so aggregation, again, it's not the rocket science. It's very easy. At any time that you perform any sort of calculation, you're doing an aggregate. You're aggregating those value or data point within that specific column or variable. So let's say here we're going to do average. So let's say we're going to do the average ratio, and then we're going to do another aggregation, which is sum. You can do count, sum, minimum, maximum, you know, all sorts of aggregation. You can look into descriptive statistics or metrics or calculations to see what sort of functions you can do, and it depends on what you need it for. So anyway, so I have the region now. Again, this is a character variable. I don't have to aggregate this because it's character, it's string. But then these two have to be aggregated by one of them by average and the other one by sum, by the total, by the summation. And then I'm grouping them by the region. So I'm grouping them by region. So when I run this, you're going to see that I'm getting region names, which is 12 regions, and their aggregated average and sum, if it makes sense. So now we have aggregated measures for uh, gender ratio and GDP grouped by the region. Now let's say if we get rid of the group by, let's say we run this, it's gonna go crazy again. It's telling me like, okay, well you aggregated these two, but you're not grouping them by. You want me to aggregate these two and then bring them by region. How can I perform a calculation of average and sum of these two variables? And then you want to use distinct region names. So you're going to use all of the region names, and then you're not even grouping them by. Let's say if you do the country and you're getting the average, how can you get an average of one record? So this is why you use the group by. So the group by, again, functions can be broken down. It can be developed into so much details that you can use you can add like having a conditional clause or having let's say some of GDP having you know greater than 200 or add additional clauses which is is only going to show you the GDP sum of for each of these regions that exceed 200. Again, you can order them, you can do a whole lot of things. But for right now, for this particular video, the goal is to make sure that you understand the concept of aggregation and then how you need to actually uh, uh, group those aggregation by uh, categories, in which case it's the region here, and then let those aggregations uh, be measure those categories, which in this case it did it here for us. And something important that I forgot about, this is not a good practice to just use an aggregate function and then not use an alias because just as you can see, it just says AVG and sum. So not you may as well just use the alias to say average. The same thing for this. Say as sum of GDP. So once you assign the alias, you're gonna see that both of these aliases are now changed. Um, the syntax is this is the basic fundamental syntax, and just wanted to make sure that you get the kind of conceptual and basic grasp of what it is all about. All right, so this was the first part of the tutorial, and the second part of the tutorial, as I said at the beginning of the video, is also a very important topic. In fact, it's the most important topic that and the reason is that it has to do with the very core human values. So today is October 13, 2023, and lately there have been a series of catastrophic and heartbreaking developments emerging in Palestine, Gaza, and I would like to take a moment to actually pray together with you guys that may God, the Almighty Allah, bring and secure humanity, peace, and justice to Palestine and its people and may there be a free Palestine one day where there will be peace, harmony, prosperity, and brotherhood between Palestine and all of the nations and all of the neighbors and all of the world, regardless of religion or race or any sort of human characteristics, and where these beautiful kids don't have to endure any hardships or tragedies that in wars and operation and oppressions produce, and these kids get the opportunity to live a peaceful life and become educated to help and serve humanity, just like other kids in the world. Um, this is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, have a great day.